We are going to be reading Second Esdras today. We ended at 8 last time, so we're going to read 9 through 12 today. They're kind of long chapters, so I'm just going to read 4 chapters at a time. It seems like there's more time, but there's only 16 chapters, so we'll really just have 2 more videos basically of 4. Hi, whoever's watching, of 4 chapters. So we're going to do Second Esdras 9 through 12 today. So here we go. All right. Second Esdras chapter 9. He answered me and said, "Measure carefully in your mind, and when you see that some of the predicted signs have occurred, then you will know that it is the very time when the Most High is about to visit the world that he has made. So when there shall appear in the world earthquakes, tumult of peoples, intrigues of nations, wavering of leaders, confusion of princes, then you will know that it was of these that the Most High spoke from the days that were of old, from the beginning. For just as with everything that has occurred in the world, the beginning is evident, and the end manifest. So also are the times of the Most High. The beginnings are manifest in wonders and mighty works, and the end in penalties and in signs. It shall be that all who will be saved and will be able to escape on account of their works or on account of the faith by which they have believed will survive the dangers that have been predicted and will see my salvation in my land and within my borders, which I have sanctified for myself from the beginning. Then those who have not abused my ways shall be amazed, and those who have rejected them with contempt shall live in torments. For as many as did not acknowledge me in their lifetime, though they received my benefits, and as many as scorned my law while they still had freedom and did not understand, but despised it while an opportunity of repentance was still open to them, these must in torment acknowledge it after death. Therefore, do not continue to be curious about how the ungodly will be punished, but inquire how the righteous will be saved, those to whom the age belongs and for whose sake the age was made. I answered and said, I said before, and I say now, and will say it again, there are more who perish than those who will be saved. As a wave is greater than a drop of water, he answered me and said, as is the field, so is the seed, and as are the flowers, so are the colors. And as is the work, so is the product. And as is the farmer, so is the threshing floor. For there was a time in this age when I was preparing for those who now exist, before the world was made for them to live in, and no one opposed me then, for no one existed. But now those who have been created in this world, which is supplied both with an unfailing table and an inexhaustible pasture, have become corrupt in their ways. So I consider my world and saw that it was lost. I saw that my earth was in peril because of the devices of those who had come into it. And I saw and spared some with great difficulty, and saved for myself one grape out of a cluster, and one plant out of a great forest. So let the multitude perish that has been born in vain, but let my grape and my plant be saved, because with much labor I have perfected them. Now, if you will let 7 days more pass, do not, however, fast during them, but go into a field of flowers where no house has been built, and eat only of the flowers of the field, and taste no meat and drink no wine, but eat only flowers. And pray to the Most High continually. Then I will come and talk with you. So I went, as he directed me, into the field that is called Ardet. There I sat among the flowers and ate of the plants of the field, and the nourishment they afforded satisfied me. After 7 days, while I lay on the grass, my heart was troubled again, as it was before. Then my mouth was opened, and I began to speak before the Most High, and said, O Lord, you showed yourself among us to our ancestors in the wilderness when they came out from Egypt, when they came into the untrodden and unfruitful wilderness. And you said, hear me, O Israel, and give heed to my words, O descendants of Jacob. For I sow my law in you, and it shall bring forth fruit in you, and you shall be glorified through it forever. But though our ancestors received the law, they did not keep it, and did not observe the statutes, yet the fruit of the law did not perish, for it could not, because it was yours. Yet those who received it perished, because they did not keep what had been sown in them. Now, this is the general rule that when the ground has received seed, or the sea a ship, or any dish, food or drink, and when it comes about that what was sown, or what was launched, or what was put in is destroyed, they are destroyed. But the things that held them remain, yet with us it has not been so. For when for we who have received the law and sinned will perish, as well as our hearts that received it. The law, however, does not perish, but survives in its glory. When I said these things in my heart, I looked around, and on my right I saw a woman. She was mourning and weeping with a loud voice, and was deeply grieved at heart. Her clothes were torn, and there were ashes on her head. Then I dismissed the thoughts with which I had been engaged, and turned to her and said to her, "Why are you weeping? And why are you grieved at heart?" She said to me, "Let me alone, my Lord, so that I may weep for myself and continue to mourn, for I am greatly embittered in spirit and deeply distressed." I said to her, "What has happened to you? Tell me." And she said to me, "Your servant was barren and had no child, though I lived with my husband for 30 years. Every hour and every day during those 30 years, I prayed to the Most High night and day. And after 30 years, God heard your servant and looked upon my low estate, and considered my distress, and gave me a son. I rejoiced greatly over him, I and my husband and all my neighbors, and we gave great glory to the Mighty One. And I brought him up with much care. So when he grew up, and I came to take a wife for him, I set a day for the marriage feast. All right, we're in Second Esdras, chapter 10. I don't like when they start new chapters like in the middle of this storyline. It kind of bothers me, guys. Okay, but it happened that when my son entered his wedding chamber, he fell down and died. So all of us put out our lamps, and all my neighbors attempted to console me. I remained quiet until the evening of the second day. But when all of them had stopped consoling me, encouraging me to be quiet, I got up in the night and fled, and I came to this field as you see. And now I intend not to return to the town, but to stay here. I will neither eat nor drink, but will mourn and fast continually until I die. Then I broke off the reflections with which I was still engaged, and answered her in anger, and said, "You most foolish of women, do you not see our mourning and what has happened to us? For Zion, the mother of us all, is in deep grief and great distress. It is most appropriate to mourn now, because we are all mourning, and to be sorrowful, because we are all sorrowing. You are sorrowing for one son, but we, the whole world, for our mother. Now ask the earth, and she will tell you that it is she who ought to mourn over so many who have come into being upon her. From the beginning, all have been born of her, and others will come, and lo, almost all go to perdition, and a multitude of them will come to doom. Who then ought to mourn the more? She who lost so great a multitude, or you who are grieving for one alone? But if you say to me, my lamentation is not like the earth's, for I have lost the fruit of my womb, which I brought forth in pain and bore in sorrow. But it is with the earth, according to the way of the earth, the multitude that is now in it goes as it came. And then I say to you, just as you brought forth in sorrow, so the earth also has from the beginning given her fruit, that is, humankind to him who made her. Now, therefore, keep your sorrow to yourself, and bear bravely the troubles that have come upon you. For if you acknowledge the decree of God to be just, you will receive your son back in due time, and will be praised among women. Therefore, go into the town to your husband. She said to me, I will not do so. I will not go into the city, but I will die here. So I spoke again to her and said, do not do that, but let yourself be persuaded. For how many are the adversaries of Zion? And be consoled because of the sorrow of Jerusalem. For you see how our sanctuary has been laid waste, our altar thrown down, our temple destroyed. Our harp has been laid low, our song has been silenced, and our rejoicing has been ended. The light of our lampstand has been put out, the ark of our covenant has been plundered, our holy things have been polluted, and the name by which we are called has been almost profaned. Our children have suffered abuse, our priests have been burned to death, our Levites have gone into exile, our virgins have been defiled, and our wives have been ravished. Our righteous men have been carried off, our little ones have been cast out, our young men have been enslaved, and our strong men made powerless. And worst of all, the seal of Zion has been deprived of its glory and given over into the hands of those that hate us. Therefore, shake off your great sadness and lay aside your many sorrows, so that the mighty one may be merciful to you again, and the Most High may give you rest, a respite from your troubles. While I was talking to her, her face suddenly began to shine exceedingly. Her countenance flashed like lightning, so that I was too frightened to approach her, and my heart was terrified. While I was wondering what this meant, she suddenly uttered a loud and fearful cry, so that the earth shook at the sound. When I looked up, the woman was no longer visible to me, but a city was being built, and a place of huge foundation showed itself. I was afraid, and cried with a loud voice, and said, "Where is the angel Uriel, who came to me at first? For it was he who brought me into this overpowering bewilderment. My end has become corruption, and my prayer a reproach." While I was speaking these words, the angel who had come to me at first came to me. And when he saw me lying there like a corpse, deprived of my understanding, he grasped my right hand and strengthened me and set me on my feet and said to me, "What is the matter with you? And why are you troubled? And why are you understanding and the thoughts of your mind troubled?" I said, "It was because you abandoned me. I did as you directed and went out into the field, and lo, what I have seen and can still see, I am unable to explain." He said to me, "Stand up like a man, and I will instruct you." I said, "Speak, my Lord, only do you not forsake me, so that I may not die before my time. For I have seen what I did not know, and I hear what I do not understand. Or is my mind deceived and my soul dreaming? Now therefore I beg you to give your servant an explanation of this bewildering vision." He answered me and said, "Listen to me, and I will teach you and tell you about the things that you fear. For the Most High has revealed many secrets to you. He has seen your righteous conduct, and that you have sorrowed continually for your people and mourned greatly over Zion. This, therefore, is the meaning of the vision. The woman who appeared to you a little while ago, whom you saw mourning and whom you began to console, you do not now see the form of a woman, but there appeared to you a city being built. And who told you about the misfortune of her son? This is the interpretation. The woman whom you saw in Zion, which you now behold as a city being built. And as for her telling you that she was barren for 30 years, the reason is that there were 3,000 years in the world before any offering was offered in it. After 3,000 years, Solomon built the city and offered offerings. Then it was that the barren woman bore a son. And as for her telling you that she brought him up with much care, that was the period of residence in Jerusalem. And as for her saying to you, "My son died as he entered his wedding chamber," and that misfortune had overtaken her, this was the destruction that befell Jerusalem. So you saw her likeness, how she mourned for her son, and you began to console her for what had happened. For now the Most High, seeing that you are sincerely grieved and profoundly distressed for her, has shown you the brilliance of her glory and the loveliness of her beauty. Therefore I told you to remain in the field where no house had been built, for I knew that the Most High would reveal these things to you. Therefore I told you to go into the field where there was no foundation of any building, because no work of human construction could endure in a place where the city of the Most High was to be revealed. Therefore, do not be afraid and do not let your heart be terrified, but go in and see the splendor of the vastness of the building as far as it is possible for your eyes to see it. And afterward you will hear as much as your ears can hear. For you are more blessed than many, and you have been called to be the most with the Most High, as few have been. But tomorrow night you shall remain here, and the Most High will show you in those visions what the Most High will do to those who inhabit the earth in the last days. So I slept that night and the following one, as he had told me. All right, guys. Chapter 11. On the second night, I had a dream. I saw rising from the sea an eagle that had 12 feathered wings and 3 heads. I saw it spread its wings over the whole earth, and all the winds of heaven blew upon it, and the clouds were gathered around it. I saw that out of its wings there were opposing wings, but they became little, puny wings. But its heads were at rest. The middle head was larger than the other heads, but it too was at rest with them. Then I saw the eagle flew with its wings, and it reigned over the earth and over those who inhabit it. And I saw how all things under heaven were subjected to it, and no one spoke against it, not a single creature that was on earth. Then I saw the eagle rise upon its talons, and it uttered a cry to its wings, saying, "Do not all watch at the same time. Let each sleep in its own place and watch in its own turn, but let the heads be reserved for the last." I looked again and saw that the voice did not come from its head, but from the middle of its body. I counted its rival wings, and there were 8 of them. As I watched, one wing on the right side rose up, and it reigned over all the earth. And after a time, its reign came to an end, and it disappeared, so that even its place was no longer visible. Then the next wing rose up and reigned, and it continued to reign a long time. While it was reigning, its end came also, so that it disappeared like the first, and a voice sounded saying to it, "Listen to me, you have ruled the earth all this time. I announce this to you before you disappear. After you, no one shall rule as long as you have ruled, not even half as long." Then the third wing raised itself up and held the rule as the earlier ones had done, and it also disappeared. And so it went with all the wings. They wielded power one after another and then were never seen again. I kept looking, and in due time, the wings that followed also rose up on the right side in order to rule. There were some of them that ruled, yet disappeared suddenly, and others of them rose up, but did not hold the rule. And after this, I looked and saw that the 12 wings and the 2 little wings had disappeared, and nothing remained on the eagle's body except the 3 heads that were at rest and 6 little wings. As I kept looking, I saw that 2 little wings separated from the 6 and remained under the head that was on the right side, but 4 remained in their place. Then I saw that these little wings planned to set themselves up and hold the rule. As I kept looking, one was set up, but suddenly disappeared. A second also, and this disappeared more quickly than the first. While I continued to look, the 2 that remained were planning between themselves to reign together. And while they were planning, one of the heads that were at rest, the one that was in the middle, suddenly awoke. It was greater than the other 2 heads. And I saw how it allied the 2 heads with itself, and how the head turned with those that were with it and devoured the 2 little wings that were planning to reign. Moreover, this head gained control of the whole earth, and with much oppression dominated its inhabitants. It had greater power over the world than all the wings that had gone before. After this, I looked again and saw the head in the middle suddenly disappear, just as the wings had done. But the 2 heads remained, which also in like manner ruled over the earth and its inhabitants. And while I looked, I saw the head on the right side devour the one on the left. Then I heard a voice saying to me, "Look in front of you and consider what you see." When I looked, I saw what seemed to be a lion roused from the forest, roaring, and I heard how it uttered a human voice to the eagle and spoke, saying, "Listen, and I will speak to you. The Most High says to you, are you not the one that remains of the 4 beasts that I had made to reign in my world, so that the end of my times might come through them? You, the 4th that has come, have conquered all the beasts that have gone before, and you have held sway over the world with great terror, and over all the earth with grievous oppression. And for so long you have lived on the earth with deceit. You have judged the earth, but not with truth. For you have oppressed the meek and injured the peaceable. You have hated those who tell the truth and have loved liars. You have destroyed the homes of those who brought forth fruit and have laid low the walls of those who did you no harm. Your insolence has come up before the Most High, and your pride to the Mighty One. The Most High has looked at his times. Now they have ended, and his ages have reached completion. Therefore, you, eagle, will surely disappear. You and your terrifying wings, your most evil little wings, your malicious heads, your most evil talons, and your whole worthless body, so that the whole earth, freed from your violence, may be refreshed and relieved, and may hope for the judgment and mercy of him who made it. Okay, guys, last chapter of 2nd Esdras we're going to read today. 2nd Esdras 12. Chapter 12. While the lion was saying these words to the eagle, I looked and saw that the remaining head had disappeared. The two wings that had gone over to it rose up and set themselves up to rain, and their rain was brief and full of tumult. When I looked again, they were already vanishing. The whole body of the eagle was burned, and the earth was exceedingly terrified. Then I woke up in a great perplexity of mind and great fear, and I said to my spirit, "You have brought this upon me, because you search out the ways of the Most High. I am still weary in mind and very weak in my spirit, and not even a little strength is left in me, because of the great fear with which I have been terrified tonight. Therefore, I will not entreat the Most High that he may strengthen me to the end." Then I said, "O sovereign Lord, if I have found favor in your sight, and if I have been accounted righteous before you beyond many others, and if my prayer has indeed come up before your face, strengthen me and show me your servant the interpretation and meaning of this terrifying vision, so that you may fully comfort my soul. For you have judged me worthy to be shown the end of the times and the last events of the times." He said to me, "This is the interpretation of this vision that you have seen. The eagle that you saw coming up from the sea is the fourth kingdom that appeared in a vision to your brother Daniel, but it was not explained to him as I now explain to you or have explained it. The days are coming when a kingdom shall rise on earth, and it shall be more terrifying than all the kingdoms that have been before it. And 12 kings shall reign in it, one after another, but the second that is to reign shall hold sway for a longer time than any other one of the 12. This is the interpretation of the 12 wings that you saw. As for you, hearing a voice that spoke, coming not from the eagle's heads, but from the midst of its body, this is the interpretation. In the midst of the time of that kingdom, great struggle shall rise, and it shall be in danger of falling. Nevertheless, it shall not fall then, but shall regain its former power. As for your seeing 8 little wings clinging to its wings, this is the interpretation. 8 kings shall rise in it, whose times shall be short and their years swift. 2 of them shall perish when the middle of its time draws near, and 4 shall be kept for the time when its end approaches, but 2 shall be kept until the end. As for your seeing 3 heads at rest, this is the interpretation. In its last days, the Most High will raise up 3 kings, and they shall renew many things in it, and shall rule the earth, and its inhabitants more oppressively than all who were before them. Therefore they are called the heads of the eagle, because it is they who shall sum up his wickedness and perform his last actions. As for your seeing that the large head disappeared, one of the kings shall die in his bed, but in agonies. But as for the 2 who remained, the sword shall devour them. The sword of one shall devour him who was with him, but he also shall fall by the sword in the last days. As for your seeing 2 little wings passing over the head, which was on the right side, this is the interpretation. It is these whom the Most High has kept for the eagle's end. This was the reign which was brief and full of tumult, as you have seen. And as for the lion, whom you saw rousing up out of the forest and roaring and speaking to the eagle and reproving him for his unrighteousness, and as for all his words that you have heard, this is the Messiah whom the Most High has kept until the end of days, who will arise from the offspring of David and will come and speak with them. He will denounce them for their ungodliness and for their wickedness, and will display before them their contemptuous dealings. For the first, he will bring them alive before his judgment seat, and when he has reproved them, then he will destroy them. But in mercy, he will set free the remnant of my people, those who have been saved throughout my borders. And he will make them joyful until the end comes, the day of judgment of which I spoke to you at the beginning. This is the dream that you saw, and this is its interpretation. And you alone were worthy to learn the secret of the Most High. Therefore, write all these things that you have seen in a book. put it in a hidden place. And you shall teach them to the wise among your people, whose hearts you know are able to comprehend and keep these secrets. But as for you, wait here 7 days more, so that you may be shown whatever it pleases the Most High to show you. Then he left me. When all the people heard that the 7 days were past, and I had not returned to the city, they all gathered together, from the least to the greatest, and came to me and spoke to me, saying, How have we offended you? And what harm have we done you, that you have forsaken us and sit in this place? For of all the prophets, you alone are left to us, like a cluster of grapes from the vintage, and like a lamp in a dark place, and like a haven for a ship saved from a storm. Are not the disasters that have befallen us enough? Therefore, if you forsake us, how much better it would have been for us if we also had been consumed in the burning of Zion. For we are no better than those who died there. And they wept with a loud voice. Then I answered them and said, Take courage, O Israel, and do not be sorrowful, or house of Jacob. For the Most High has you in remembrance, and the Mighty One has not forgotten you in your struggle. As for me, I have neither forsaken you nor withdrawn from you, but I have come to this place to pray on account of the desolation of Zion, and to seek mercy on account of the humiliation of our sanctuary. Now go to your homes, every one of you, and after these days I will come to you. So the people went into the city as I told them to do. But I sat in the field 7 days, as the angel had commanded me, and I ate only of the flowers of the fields, and my food was of plants during those days. Okay, guys, that's it for chapter 9 through 12. So we'll pick up with chapter 13 through 16 next time. Thanks for watching and listening. Bye.